Previously on Funny Science Fiction.
I only ran over the guy's leg. I missed most of them.
Right. He was mostly out of the way.
Like mostly dead?
Yes. I'm only mostly dead.
There we go. Welcome to the Funny Science Fiction Podcast, where the Mandalorian earn extra bounty for killing their jokes.
This week we have a special guest for you straight from the front lines of the Clone Wars, Capn Rex of the 501st. The 501st Legion is an international fan-based organization dedicated to the construction and wearing of screen-accurate replicas of Imperial Stormtrooper armor, Sith Lords, and many other villains from the Star Wars universe. The 501st Legion, also called by its nickname, Vader's Fist, is made up entirely of volunteers. Giving back to the community is one of the 501st Legion's highest priorities. They are bad guys doing good. Members regularly participate in events to raise awareness for charitable causes. So, Rex, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for patching in your comm this far into the galaxy to be able to speak with us today.
Of course.
I'm sure that you didn't have to deal with red shirts in your part of the galaxy, but you probably commanded some newly arrived, overeager, and sometimes bumbling clone troopers and some cadets from time to time. I'm sure they've had some of their own disasters, don't they?
Absolutely. Shinies, we call them.
That's right, the shinies. Yeah, not like the simulation once they get out in the field.
Nothing like it.
All right. Well, many of us know your group from Comic-Cons and other events, but we asked you here today to talk about yourself, your equipment, and of course, a little bit about the 501st. And all that we know is that a soon-to-be stormtrooper, or clone trooper in your case, is nothing without a well-calibrated, trusty sidearm. So would you do us the honor of showing us your blaster and your helmet?
These right here. These are the classic Commander blasters. These are the DC-17s that Capn Rex uses. Now this right here, this is made out of hyperfirm rubber. The reason I went with this over 3D printing or wood is so I can spin it. Right?
Oh, nice.
So that's the guns. These are pretty cool. Some light up, you pull the trigger, but these are just rubber. So how's that?
Sweet.
Now the thing that's super bummer is the company that made them went out of business. So I may or may not just have the only ones of these.
Oh,
All right.
that's kind of cool. The helmet.
Have a look at this beauty. Look at that.
Awesome artwork.
So let's just take a moment and admire this paint.
The paint
So
job's
one
fantastic.
thing that a lot of people don't think about when they're building these, because building it is one thing, but then to get them painted to look like the characters is actually extremely difficult. And there's here's something actually. I'm going to show you all this. This is something I haven't told anybody. Do you see those little notches?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those mean something.
Okay, what do they mean?
Those are certain people that are significant to me. So you got 3 of them notched in there. So I thought that was pretty cool to do. Now here's a fun fact. Tally marks. Who knows what those mean? Do any of you?
Is it the kills, or is it the deaths of friends, or missions, or
Mission's finished.
I don't know.
Yeah, so now if you look at the Capn Rex suit, he's got them on his hands, forearm, shins. He's covered in tally marks. But here's something. Nobody knows what they're for. Dave Filoni will not tell us. So something that I think that's pretty cool to have something that it's just his, right? So if I ever meet him, I'm gonna be like, Dave, you need to tell me what these mean, because it drives me nuts. So my theory is Capn Rex is so intense and he's so dirty and weathered because his general is Anakin Skywalker, right? He's always on the front lines.
Right.
I don't think these are kills. I think they're lost clones.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
right?
That's where I was going.
Because it would seem that Rex, I don't think he cares about killing droids. I think marking his armor with Lost Brothers would be something Rex would do. So that's my theory.
I think that's a very solid theory.
Have you ever counted the amount of tallies he has?
So
You know how many?
Yes. Yeah. Because in order to have them on this suit,
Mhm.
it has to be exact screen accurate. But off the top of my head, I can't tell you how many there are.
Okay, because I was curious if it's just under 66. Because then it's the amount of orders. It's the amount of orders he's been given.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I don't
Hang
know.
on, give me.
I don't know
hang
if
on,
that's
give
how
me-
that
give me
works.
half
Josh.
hour.
Maybe
Yeah, give me half hours. What? 1, 2.
maybe it's times
There's
he's,
57 on the helmet, it looks like.
it's the times he's
Six.
restrained himself from back. He's shooting Anakin in the back, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe it's the number of Jedi he's killed.
None. The answer is none.
No, no.
Actually, that answer is
Didn't kill
none.
any Jedi.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to see the inside?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So one thing we got here. So this little hole right here is pretty narrow. On with the full kit, it looks really accurate. So in order to achieve that, it's got the back off design. Okay, so it's held together with magnets and Velcro. High tech, I know. And then on the inside, you're going to see, oh gosh, there's a microphone and fans. So the microphone is so I can talk to people. And the fans, this will seem crazy, are so I don't suffocate and die. Suffocating and dying in front of children at events is typically frowned upon.
Sounds like a bad day.
Just
Yeah.
kind of it is. Kids don't like it. Parents, they get ticked. You know.
I mean, unless they're younglings or something like that, I guess. Right.
And medic droid cosplayers aren't actually trained medical professionals.
That's true. They just look at you and panic. I have to tell you something. One of my greatest fears is having like a medical event in the suit, because to kit up takes 15 plus minutes. I sit there with my arms out, and you've got handlers that are like clipping bits of armor to you and pulling stuff
Oh
up.
my
and
goodness.
it's like a night, you know.
Yeah.
But that's my biggest fear, is that, let's say I pass out or I have a heart attack or something, the EMTs show up and it's like, get your scissors out. Nope, he's dead.
Nope, he's dead.
This is
Because I mean, truthfully,
They just throw a red shirt on
yeah,
him and walk away.
Yeah, unless they know the armor, I can't imagine how difficult that would be. But that's why when I'm out
Oh my
trooping, I'm
goodness.
never, ever, ever by myself. So if you see like the Imperial officers, and this is mean, like I see the officers and I'd be like, why don't they just build a clone? It's because they're there to make sure you're safe,
Right.
make sure kids don't touch your armor, but if you pass out, they're there to help. So fun fact.
No, that's cool.
That's cool.
That's cool. So,
Yeah.
was any of your armor provided to you by the Legion, or did you have to go out and procure it all yourself? Or
So you have to build and buy everything. The Legion does nothing. They support. They say, hey, check out these resources, do this, and this.
okay,
They're very supportive. But part of the fun of joining the Legion is that you built your armor.
okay,
That everybody's armor that you see is built by them, or they've done a significant portion,
That's cool.
and so there's huge amounts of detail that goes into all of the suits, little personal things like I showed you, those notches.
sure,
And so that's part of it. It's kind of the rite of passage is when you build your suit, and there's super simple stuff too. Like people can get overwhelmed by that. You know, and you can do simpler suits or really rely on people to help you do it. And everyone is helpful and kind. I mean, it's a good group as far as support and building the suits go.
So for our resident fanboys, because I'm sure there's a few listening, and some
Sure.
of them might be
Mhm.
talking to you. How would one go about joining the 501st? How does that happen?
So this is what I tell everybody that messages me. What I say is just Google the 501st in your area, and chances are you're going to find one in your state, 100%. And then you're going to reach out to them and just say, hey, I'm interested. How do I do this? They'll contact you. They'll ask you what suit you want to build. They'll send you all the resources. I mean, it's incredibly intimidating when you first look at the suits and you're like, I want to do this, but how? But once you find the people that are local in your area, you'd be shocked at how willing they are to help you get started.
All right, cool. Now,
That's
you
cool.
mentioned the artist's name earlier who did the
Yeah.
all the painting and stuff. Could you say that? Could you tell us that name one more time, please?
Yes. So
Because
the artist.
with the detail of the work that they've done, I think it really needs to be highlighted how good a job they've done.
Yeah, so it's somebody I'm very close to. But it's at the name is Fives on
Okay.
Instagram. And they painted my Rex. So this is the third rendition. We call this Rex 3.0. She's painted him 3 times. The first one, he was kind of a shiny. I'd go to Comic-Cons and get washed out in the lighting, and I was just like, we got to make him dirty. Rex is a dirty boy. Like, let's do this.
That's right.
So she, right? And the coolest thing is that she is a huge Star Wars fan. And so
Wow.
she sat down and watched the Umbara arc with the Clone Wars, which if you haven't seen it, shame on you. How long has this been out? Like years, decade? Get on it. Right? But she watched them again and again and again and put so much detail into the third rendition of him. So if you go to my page, it's trickier with Corona because I've showed a lot of old pictures, but you'll see the ones that are the newer paint job because he looks like messed up and it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Right. And
That's
and if you
awesome.
go to Captain Rex's Instagram page, you will find my name is Fives tagged in almost all of his posts, especially for the credit for the paintwork. So you'll be able to find them there and kind of go from there. So you kind of talked about some of the things that you thought were cool about Rex, but we look at it, from the outside looking in. There's so many super cool clone troopers with their own distinct personalities, even though they were clones. I mean, you think about Keeley, Cody, Fives, for instance. Now, although they're clones, like we said, they have their own individual characteristics, their own things. Like Heavy, one of my favorite episodes is actually around Heavy. And although he appears to be this big, strong, tough guy, he has this huge heart that he's kind of hiding on the inside. So when you think about all of that, what was it specifically about Rex that made you say, when you looked at all the clones, I want to cosplay Rex, I want to be Rex?
So if you want to get a glimpse of how much I love clones, this is so dumb, but I think I'm talking to the right group for this. As you were naming those specific clones, I got chills. Can you see them?
Nice.
I mean,
love it.
It's
I
like,
love it.
yeah, that's the whole point of the Clone Wars. Is episode 1, Yoda has these 3 clones that he's stranded with take off their helmets, and he's like, I want to see your faces. And they're like, why? We're clones. And he goes, in the Force, you are individuals. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So why Rex? I had somebody comment on my Instagram today that if you've watched all of the Clone Wars and don't love Rex, did you even watch the Clone Wars?
Right.
The thing about Rex that is so unique, like if you look at Cody, Wolf, the commanders that are actual commanders. Now, Rex is not a commander, he's a captain because Ahsoka Tano is the commander, okay? But the thing with Rex, so Cody's clone number is CC, so clone commander, and Wolf, CC, so it's clone commander, then their number. Captain Rex is CT 7567 because it's clone trooper. The thing that's super unique about Captain Rex is that he earned his station, where other clones are born to the role and designated to the role, where Captain Rex rose through the ranks because he's amazing. Here's something else I'll show you. These Jagais, gotcha. What that is it is a symbol from the Mandalorians that he earned when he was back on Camino doing his training to become a commander or a captain. And so he's so distinguished that that's something that has to be earned, and you don't see any other clones with it.
That's cool.
So pretty good. So why Rex? He's he's like everything I want to be as a person, right? I mean, he's in the front lines doing the work. Not to say that the other clone commanders aren't, but if you look at his armor, it tells the story. He built his own custom armor. He's an intense leader. He's aggressive. So you just look at those traits. I think that's something I want to do in my life. You know, you find good people, real or not, and then you try to mimic those traits to become better. So Rex is a huge part of my life. That's why.
No,
He's
that's
great.
awesome. Great answer. I like that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I like the personal connection. That's awesome. So as you and I talked about in our pre-interview, we have a very large Facebook group that follows us and what we talk about. So we put out a question to them yesterday that if you could ask Capn Rex of the Clone Troopers any question, what would you ask them? So here's some questions from our Facebook members. Well, we got a few.
Right.
So our Facebook group member, Kevin Watts, asked, would you be willing to perform as Rex in a live action clone film?
So the answer is yes. Just a real enthusiastic yes. There's a downside to that. Obviously, I'm not Tamora Morrison. That's his name, right?
Yeah.
Django and Boba.
Yeah.
So there's that downside, right? I'm not that, but I mean, let's say people are willing to forgive that, which Star Wars fans may or not be willing to let me do that. But yes, I really, really would. And when I go to the gym, there are times that I'm like, I'm Capn Rex and I lift heavy, you know, it's like Capn Rex. And you can't say you haven't done something like that, right? Like you watch something and you find yourself doing something a little better, lifting a little heavier, right? So there's that. Quick side note though, I do have to stay in shape because the clone suit is literally like formed to my body. So let's say the quarantine 15, I'm putting Rex on. It's like, oh, okay. Well, here comes the treadmill. A little bit less donuts on Donut Friday. So yes, to answer the question, yes, 100%. I would do that all day.
That's awesome. Okay. So here's a question.
I do it for free.
Don't say. We won't tell them.
We heard.
Do it. Put it out.
All right. So another question. Now this is from two guys. They ask a very similar question, so we put it together as one. Nassim Akram and Kevin Partlow both asked, "How did it affect you? How did it affect Rex when Order 66 was given, and what was going through your mind?"
Okay. All right. So here's the deal. I'm going to give you a disappointing answer because it means you have to do some homework. But in the end, you love it.
Fire away.
So season 6 did not have that answer. Had in my mind happened. And there was something to it. Season 7 of the was just released. It's got 12 episodes. You've got the first 4, which were actually created when it was canceled. So they're very good. They're just very consistent with what was. You have the next 4, which are odd. Watch them at your own risk. And then the last 4 are, have any of you seen it? The last season 7? You've seen it? Okay. The last 4 episodes are so insanely good, and they have that answer in it. So if it wasn't on film, I think I would answer that question, but because it is, you need to go see that because it's very satisfying.
Last 4 episodes of season 7.
Yep.
Last 4. Okay. Yeah, the last 4, you don't really need to see the rest of the season because they should have been released in theater. They're so good.
They are. They're really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Chills again. It's happening.
Good answer.
Good answer. All right. Yeah. All
good.
right. So Tony Burgard, another Facebook group member, has asked, "What do you get Dad on Father's Day?"
So what does Rex get Dad?
What does Rex get Dad on Father's Day?
Yeah, what does Rex get Dad on Father's Day?
I'm
a lot of guess.
I'm gonna answer this as Rex. He got decapitated, you insensitive person. What do I get my dad? I get him roses for his grave. What do I get Dad on Father's Day? Gee whiz, come on.
That is the best answer ever, right there. I get
Oh.
him roses.
Just pull this knife out of my heart. Yikes. It's like, well, you're dead dad. Oh, are you an orphan? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, right.
You are a sick man, Tony. You're
No, thank you for
Get
writing
outta
it, Tony.
here.
That's a good answer.
I can't wait till we interview Bruce Wayne and he asks about his parents.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go see a play?
Awful.
All right. So, by looking at your Facebook, or not your Facebook page, rather your Instagram page, besides having some super cool photos of you, and I do mean they are cool. And guys, if you haven't gone by his Instagram page and you haven't looked at these photos of him and other members of the 501st kind of running around and different posings and different activities that they've been in, holy cow, they are studio quality. The images are fantastic. But it's apparent that you like doing work with charities, kids, and social events. But what forms of charity work, community work do you personally like to participate in? What were some of your favorites?
Oh boy. Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, now let's set this straight. Without the 501st, would I have built a Captain Rex suit and just wandered around in my house in it? Yes. Now with the 501st, it gives me an excuse, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, I gotta have this for charity, of course, right?
For the kid.
But the biggest event for the kid, but that's the real thing, is that as I'm stood there as Captain Rex, be honest, if you have a princess and Captain Rex, one of them is a little less intimidating to approach. Okay.
Right.
And there's Captain Rex, they can't see my face, but I'm watching these little kids and they're kind of tapping their parents like, hey, it's Rex, I gotta go see him. But they're scared. And so I'll gesture, hey, come here, go for a high five. And I love watching the children overcome their fears to come up, and then the joy as they walk away, like, I met Captain Rex.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of a simple side, is just in general, kids lining up. Another one of my favorites is adults, okay? Adults. They see Captain Rex, and I see them like this. They're like, I want to go say hi. So what I'll do is I'll point right at them, and I'll point to my side, like really aggressive, like, come here. And something is funny, they'll come over and get a picture. Other people, I can see them like, oh, that's so nerdy. And it's like, do you know what? I have a good life. Like, as Captain Rex, I'm as happy as can be. You can get lost. But anyway, so that kind of stuff is really fun. I enjoy that. The other stuff is the real serious stuff, is that we do a lot of work with like Make-A-Wish Foundation and sick kids in hospitals. And one of my all-time favorite events, and I don't even know if I can get through this without crying because it was a big deal. Easter was coming up and I got the message, hey, would you be willing to go to this aquarium, this teenager who's dying? And I mean, the answer, yeah, of course I will do that. But he wanted one of his last wishes, and this is just, it kills me. He wanted Darth Vader, Anakin, Captain Rex, and I think that was it. Maybe one other, but I don't remember. And so the aquarium closed, and we were able to just go. So we got ready, came out. And I mean, luckily I've got this helmet on because I'm crying the whole time, because all he wanted was to just go through the aquarium with Captain Rex, Darth Vader, and Anakin. And he didn't want to talk. We'd go to an exhibit and he'd want to sit down and just watch the fish with Captain Rex by his side. And that was one of the ones that I mean, how else do you spend an Easter Sunday, right? And it was so touching. And the whole time I'm like, what do I say to him? What do I say to him? And it's like, well, don't say anything. He's not here for you. He's here for Captain Rex. Don't say anything. He just wants you with him. And so we were able to just escort him through. And every once in a while, I'd gesture to a fish and be like, look at this stupid thing, and he'd laugh. Like, I was just getting him to laugh. Like, I was just trying to be like, how would Rex handle this? Really trying to chat. And then a couple weeks later, I got the message that he had passed away. And I mean, how do you, like, it's one thing to have the suit, like I was joking, I'd wear it in my house, but the other thing where someone who is dying wants you by their side, And I'm just incredibly grateful just to have that platform, to have it out there that somebody would invite me. So that's why I do it. I mean, not to get super heavy on you, but I mean, how else do I describe why I would do
No,
this?
that's great. That's great. Well, and as a
That's
parent, of a child who's been visited by the 501st, because when my daughter was in the hospital last year, the 501st came in. We had Vader. We had some troopers. We had one of the guys dressed as Admiral Payette, so that was kind of cool. I kept waiting for him to get force choked. Never happened. It's very sad. But it was kind of hard to tell who was more excited about Vader coming into our room, my daughter in the bed, or me standing next to her, like, yeah. Yeah. That was super cool.
So
and they gave my daughter a couple toys, and they gave her a medical patch for her backpack and a few other things. And she told Darth Vader about our cat, who is also named Vader, because he's all black and has a white box on his chest. So we call him Vader.
You know what's so great about that? Okay, so two things. Vader is never not amazing. So as I'm kidding up for the first time, first event is Rex. We're putting stuff on. Everybody's kidding up. Our Vader here is over 7 feet tall.
Oh,
Look at the Vader suits. Yeah,
wow.
You look at the Vader suits, which some of them are easily $10,000, easily. So
Right.
he's kidding up.
He paid.
But then all of a sudden, oh yeah, his respirator comes on. So you start hearing the room goes silent. And he puts his helmet on, and he's just kidding up like the rest of us. But even the people that are like with him, he puts the kid on, and you get nervous, you get uncomfortable. So then the other thing, it's so real. But the other thing that always kills me is kids in the hospital are like, "Who would I like to come visit me? How about this genocidal maniac, Darth? That's somebody I'd really like to see." Right? That makes no sense.
You're right though. You're spot on. He gets called in for so many things. Oh, that's great.
Like,
I do have the patch.
Like, I want him to come visit. Oh yes.
So I forgot that was in my bag.
Love it.
So
yes. But it's killer where it's like I want him to come visit me, and it's like, you want him to like snuff you out? Are you in that much pain? Goodness.
So I mean, I guess long story short, I mean, the charity is just so that you can write off the outfit, right?
Justify it.
Yeah. I had my boss. Now, one thing is, obviously I have this. What the heck is going on here? Part of it is when I started the account, it was about Capn Rex, and I didn't think it would take off. Like, we're cruising, it's doing really, really well. Part of it is I was like, okay, it's not about me. And then it took off, and it's like, oh boy, like, do I show my face? Do I not? Do I stick with it? I don't know. But yeah, my boss found out that I did this, and he's like, well, that's kind of nerdy. I said, well, look, I'm in my 30s. Like, I'm pretty secure with this. So yeah, it's a vest. Like, yeah, I do this for the kids. It's for the kids.
I think it's awesome that you do it.
That's wonderful.
So
I love it.
So I know that clones, speaking of relationships and people and etc., they don't typically go out and find love and find a family and settle down. But how do you feel Rex would do if the Republic wasn't in so much trouble with the wars and all and etc.? What do you think he'd be doing?
Okay. So great question. There's an episode where it's called The Deserter, I think, where they actually find a clone who deserted and got married and has kids.
Yes.
And I love that because Rex gets shot and they take him into his house and he's recovering there, and he has these conversations where Rex is duty. We are bred to do this. It's our job. How dare you? And he says, well, we have to have a choice. And I like seeing Rex adapt as well, being a ballistic guy. So one other little funny thing about that is I think the clones have a thing for Twi'leks, because as you watch the episode, all of the clones get a little uncomfortable around this guy's wife, because I think they're all like, yep, I would have defected too. I get it. I think it's a real thing.
That's funny.
Yeah. So on the other side of things, I wish, and I think a lot of fans split on this, and I'm going to catch it. You're gonna have a lot of angry people, but I'm doing it. I would love to have seen Rex and Ahsoka. Listen me out. Well, like, but she was a teenager when they first met. Sure, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about later on when they're adults, because if you look at the growth process of clones, let's say even the first time you meet Ahsoka and Rex, she's like 12. Rex is older physically, but mentally, I think he's like 14.
Yeah, emotionally.
So as far as their age goes, I think I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see him be happy. But I mean, as we see as it goes on, Rex is all about duty, and he is very, very selfless. So we don't see that, and it's consistent with his character because he continues to serve up to the back Endor. I love that that's canon. Right?
Yeah, that is cool.
Mhm.
It's great. So I would have loved to see that, and I think he would have been happy.
That's awesome.
But he's duty first.
Yeah. So speaking of your duty and etc., and the people who are giving you these orders, there's not a whole lot of planets that have white environments. Maybe perhaps Hoth, right? But I have seen some camo armor out there, but they seem a little underutilized. You think camo would help now and again, or are you starting to think that they might not care about your well-being on the battlefield?
Okay. Okay. So yeah, two things. So it shows in the Clone Wars that there are Jedi that don't care about the clones. General Krell, for example, clones are expendable, clones are this and this. Well, it kind of shows, and it takes him to the dark side, doesn't it?
Right.
But as far as camo goes, so yes, it should be better. Kashyyyk is the only battalion that you see that's really camoed up, right? And it was so cool. You've got
Yeah.
no, it's Commander Bly. No, wait for it. It's in my head. Gree.
Mm-hmm.
He's green. His visor's green. His armor is killer. Really, really cool. So would I have liked to see him more adaptive? Probably. But the one thing that I love about the clones is just their different colors, and maybe you could argue it's like a Geneva Convention thing. Like they have to show it's like their uniform, right? Like clearly show who you are. So I don't know. It's a good question. I think I'm going to say half. Some people care, some people don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
About their well-being.
It kind of seems like the Jedis are withholding. Speaking of that, the Jedis have lightsabers. I mean, come on, aren't they holding back a good thing there? Do you think you could wield a lightsaber?
Yeah, definitely. He's a trained. See, that was one thing I thought was funny with episode 7, right, where Finn gets a lightsaber and everybody's like, how does he know how to use a lightsaber? And it's like, he's been trained as a child to use weapons. There's nothing special about the lightsaber itself.
Right.
So could a Rex use a lightsaber? Definitely. Would he be insane at it? I think so. I think he would have been killer. Obviously, the lightsaber goes into a different lore of, why do they, how do Jedi get their lightsaber? The crystal calls to them in that. So I don't know. Religious reasons is probably why they don't allow them to have them. I don't know if they could get the crystal. Who knows? I don't know how that works. I don't know if the crystal one works because it called to them, or you could just pick a crystal and make a lightsaber. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a whole thing with it. And I was thinking about some of your experiences. You've been probably to a lot of conventions, to a lot of events. Yeah. You already told a really great story. What would you say is probably one of your favorite stories, or maybe one of the funniest stories that you have about an event and what you guys were at?
Sure. So you told a good story. Now give us a better story.
No, I wasn't saying that.
Yeah, nice try on that first one.
You're good. Yeah, edit that garbage out. What was that?
No, that was great.
Yeah, thanks for the hot mess earlier. Now give us something good.
Yeah.
That's cool. But on this show, we don't like the feelings.
We're about funny here.
So, yeah, forget that. I said the funny science fiction, not the... Anyway. So, yeah, when you go to conventions or when you're with any fan base has a sliding scale of like ultra zealot to just like, this is fine, you know. And you meet people that are like, it's Captain Rex, and they'll come up and be like, Rex, how was this? How was this? You know, tell me about. And it's just like, you know what? Fine, let's do this. You know, that's something that's meaningful to them. A lot of people will look at the armor and be like, it's not practical. Who knows who's in there? It's just some nerd, whatever. We were at an event and there was an axe throwing booth. Okay. And I walk up the stairs and the guy turns on me. What are you doing? Like, go away. He was clearly annoyed. Now as Rex, I can't put my hands over my head like this to throw an axe. And so I gestured to him. I said, well, let me throw it single-handed. He goes, no, you can't throw it single-handed. That's incredibly difficult. Okay, fun fact, I'm good at axe throwing. So, I can't do it. And so I gestured to one of the spotters. I was like, film this guy. So I get the axe single-handed and I just stick it straight in the bullseye. And the guy is sitting there like, what in the world? Like, who is this? And everyone's like, it's Captain Rex.
I love it.
Awesome.
That's one of my
Good
favorites.
story.
They don't know who we are. So that was one of my favorites, is just staring at him, not even saying a word the whole time, just gesturing. Yeah, one-handed.
What's really funny,
That's amazing.
what's funny is that when you said I'm good at axe throwing, I watched your elbow when you just did that, and your elbow stayed still, which is one of the techniques of axe throwing. And I was like, oh, he's not lying. Yeah, so that's
Right.
good.
That's awesome. My next question is from our admin, Deb. She's a huge Lego fan. Now, Captain Rex is a Star Wars miniature from Lego too. You know, he has one debuted in 2008. And the first minifigure was, you know, part of the 7675 ATTE Walker set with Phase 1 armor.
Sure.
So
Sure.
You as Captain Rex, do you collect any other figures or other related items? What do you have?
Okay. Hang on. So to answer your
Close
question,
at hand.
yes. My bank account also says yes. The other night, I'm sat on the couch and Hot Toys is coming out with these ultra realistic Ahsoka, Rex, 332nd clones, which is the orange helmet 501st, a 501st clone, a Cody, Anakin. So I'm sitting there, I pull up, I'm like, I need to get they're like 200 to 400 each, okay? But they have a pre-order, and I was like, that's $25. I can do this. And then by the end, I added it up, it was like $2,000. So do I collect stuff? Yes. Do I work extra hours? Yes.
And what pretty thing did you buy for your wife?
That is exactly what we just said. That's the original.
Great. Yeah.
That's
This
fantastic.
isn't the Lego one, but you said it, and I was like, I literally
an
am
AT
2 feet away from that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
An
there he
ATT.
is.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so after you ordered your $2,000 worth of toys, what'd you buy pretty for your wife?
That's assuming she knows.
Yeah,
What the heck is this? I don't
Honey,
know.
the podcast
What
went.
happened?
It was terrible. It was terrible. Don't even listen to it. Don't even listen to it.
They scammed me. It was
They're never
them.
gonna air it. Don't worry.
No, now, full disclosure, she is an absolute Star Wars fan. Like I'm just gonna say, I'm very, very, very lucky because she. So when I got the armor, I had wanted it forever. I have a dream board, and Captain Rex was always sat up on. I want to do this. We had a couple life events go down, and well, I'll tell you. So how I got into it is my daughter has Down syndrome. So I have a 7-year-old, and she was born, or he was 3 at the time. I don't know. Anyway, she was born. We didn't know that she had Down syndrome, and that's a big life flip, right? And she was like, you know what? And she literally said this, YOLO. Because let's think about this. Is there ever a good time to spend $3,000 on a Star Wars?
No.
It's not. If you're like, I want a stormtrooper, but I'm not financially ready. Surprise! It's never a financially responsible decision to buy a stormtrooper. Okay, it's just not. She was like, YOLO. and we bought it and went for it.
Nice.
So with those figures, I actually showed her. I said, "Look, here's these things. They're incredible. I want them." And she's like, "All right, let's do it." So I actually got a full extra of each, and when they show up, I mean, they're like a year or two pre-ordered out. I'm going to
Okay.
do giveaways and things to give back to the people on my Instagram.
That's super.
So
Oh,
she was all for it, which is she's
fantastic
really
idea.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic
Great.
idea.
So, what advice would the 501st and Captain Rex give civilians about staying safe these days?
You know, that's actually a really good transition from what I was talking about with my daughter.
Uh-huh.
I think this world is a scary place. Okay, there's always going to be things to make you afraid and nervous. And with my daughter specifically, I feel like I have a position to come from with this is that there's always going to be something that impacts her. When she gets sick bigger. When she, you know, it's just things like that. So the things I want to say to people, first and foremost, don't be afraid, right? The world is a scary place, period. I could walk outside. I live in kind of a busy street. I've seen people get hit in the crosswalk in front of my street. You could get hit by cars. You could get in a car accident. My sister-in-law was just diagnosed with cancer a month ago. She's 30. So, I mean, there's so much in this life to be scared of. The first thing I would tell people is like, just take it easy. Limit what you're bringing in if it makes you afraid. That's the first thing. Staying safe. The other part is do what makes you feel safe. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of things politically out there, right? You can just bring it in and control what you control and be happy. Does that answer the question? That's the only thing I can say.
Great.
There's so much
Oh, yeah.
to be
Oh, yeah.
scared of.
That's fine. So there's a lot of jokes. Of course, we're going to touch on the jokes for the successors to the clone troopers, the stormtroopers, and of course about their marksmanship not being very good. In fact, one of the people on our Facebook group had a theory that the rebels had some sort of secret tech for bending laser beams. So I don't know. But there was another theory from Doug Hessen on our Facebook group. And he asked, was it when they started accepting non-clones into the ranks that the accuracy of the stormtroopers started to suffer?
So yes, 100%. Kylo Ren actually even touches on that in episode 7. He's like, should I have done a clone army? He says we should have done a clone army, right? And Captain Rex also makes fun of the stormtroopers and rebels, where he's like, these guys, their armor's bad, their training's bad. He's like, put me up against a stormtrooper and I'll take him out all day. So yeah,
Right.
I think when they started recruiting, it went downhill because it wasn't from, you know, they were bred into war versus being recruited and may or may not be behind the cause. Like if you watch Solo, for example, he wanted to be a pilot because he just wanted to get places, right? And then he ends up getting stuck on the front lines and is worthless there as what he is.
Right.
So yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. The other thing is, you're talking about tech from the rebels. I wouldn't say that they had tech, but I think Rogue One kind of answers that question when Chirrut, is that his name? The blind guy.
Mm-hmm.
When they're pinned down and he starts walking, the Force is with me. I'm one with the Force, right? And they're missing him. The Death Troopers, who are top of the top, are missing him. And I think that was a kind of a hint to the Force siding rules, Force moving the lasers. Is that my takeaway from it? I feel like it's almost like a convention.
No, that's a good take.
Yeah,
solid take.
Yeah, that's good. All right, one final question from the Facebook group. Shannon Lennox Stoddard asked, "What is your favorite sandwich, Captain Rex?"
Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John.
The number 14. It's called the Beach Club, and I get it with Sprouts on occasion. I sometimes tend to not do Sprouts because they have a sticker with a skull that says "Get Sprouts at your own risk," which is pretty intense. So yeah, the Beach Club at Jimmy John's. I love it.
Shannon, there you have your answer.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Sprouts or no Sprouts, depends on the day.
Into the canon.
All right, Rex, we've got some trivia questions for you. We want to see how well you can answer some of these. Some of these are tough. Some of them are softballs. We're going to let you decide which are which. Do you think that your blaster is calibrated enough to take a shot at answering them?
Yeah. You check this out. Edit that spinning better.
There you go. All right. So we only have 5 questions, and if you win, you get better than 50%, clearly, which is impossible with an odd number. So if you get 3 out of 5 answers correct, you too could be sporting a lovely Red Shirt Widows and Orphans mug.
Oh, I'm thrilled. If I don't get this, I'm hanging up my suit. So this is on me.
Oh,
When
no.
2021 comes around and no kids get to see Rex, it's our fault. Okay.
It's your fault.
All right. So all of these, I'm just going to preface this. All of these are based on the Clone Wars series. All right. So hopefully you'll be able to go with this. All right. So when Count Dooku meets Ventress for the first time, what does she claim to be?
An assassin. No, wait, hang on. When she meets him for the first time.
Yes.
So
he sees her, how she's dressed, and how
a
she
Jedi.
acts.
I think I'm going to say Jedi.
Very close. She claims to be a Sith, but he says that she is not a
That's
Sith
not close enough.
because he senses her fear.
Oh, well, nuts.
All right. So
Well, there's one gone.
one gone.
So
There's a lot
right,
of
so
writing
which-
in this now.
and I say Jedi because she was initially being trained to be a Jedi, but I blew it, guys.
She went over to the
I'm
dark
embarrassed.
No worries.
Yeah.
All right. So which member of the Domino Squad gives his service medal to Maintenance Clone 99? Was it Echo, Droid Bait, Heavy, Cut Up, or Fives? I may have talked about this particular person earlier.
That's a great question. Well, it would. Dang, they're all so good. Probably Heavy. No, hang on. Dang it, they're all so good. Okay, all right. I've got 4 more questions.
Should
so
we
if I
talk
miss
about
this,
the
I'm
weight of his
still
heart?
Okay. Stop it. I said Heavy first, so fine. There you go.
Yes, it is in fact Heavy.
Very good.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut.
Go with your gut.
Yeah.
You got
All
it.
right. Hopefully this one's a little easier for you. Who was sent to protect the Duchess Satine on Mandalore?
And Anakin's there too, I guess.
Correct.
We'll go both. Sure.
Who was the first one?
So it's Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. Yes, Obi-Wan and Anakin. All right. Very good. All right.
Good job.
Okay,
right.
now I'm just gonna blow the rest. I've already won.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Now, which bounty hunter kidnaps the chairman's daughters? Was it Embo, Greedo,
Cat Bane. Oh no! Finish
Or
the
a
question.
same?
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll give you multiple choice. I did not hear your
Yeah.
answer. I did not hear final answer. We're not going to accept that. Was it Embo, Greedo, Aura Singh, or Cad Bane
Who kidnaps the daughters?
of the chairman? Yes.
I'm thinking of it. I'm gonna actually go with Greedo.
Correct. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
So
Very good.
now you have won the game, but we have a bonus question. So it's
Yes!
actually it's part of the original question. It's part of the original question, but we're going to call it bonus just because you've already won. All right. So who pretends to be a cadet in order to exact revenge against the Jedi with the help of Aura Singh?
Oh, that's Boba.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you want to get revenge against?
Mace Windu.
Very good. Yeah. He took out his daddy. All right.
Took it. How still.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right, Captain Rex, you have won. We will send you an I gave to the Red Shirts, Widows, and Orphans Club.
Fantastic.
Fund, actually. It's a fund. Red Shirts, Widows, and Orphans. So we're thrilled that you're doing that. That you were able to participate and you were able to do that. That was great fun. But a little bit about you. Where do people go to find you? And more about you, more about the 501st.
So let's pull up my phone here. Let's show you. You're gonna want to go to Capn Rex on Instagram. I'll wait for it. It looks like that. Captain
Okay.
Rex, that's CPTN_Rex on Instagram, and also YouTube. Same thing, CPTN_Rex on YouTube. And that, we had our new camera show up today, is going to be getting tons of new content.
Awesome.
Good to
Very
hear.
exciting.
Excellent. All right.
Well, thank you very much, Captain Rex. We certainly appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
Hi, I'm Drayton Allen, and this is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast. Our show is brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund. The brave men and women who wear the red shirts on away missions will be brutally killed and maimed by engineering mistakes and aggressive aliens. Imagine the comfort you'll give crewman number 4. He'll know that when he puts on the red shirt and gets evaporated by the mysterious alien technology on Janus 3, 14 minutes into episode 13, that he didn't leave his family destitute and without hope, because the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund has his back, and part of his spleen. They make sure that his kids will be taken care of. Thank you for listening or watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like us on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. If you've enjoyed our podcast, why not come join our Funny Science Fiction Facebook group too? It's filled with giggle-worthy memes and gags. Visit our website, www.funnysci-fi.com. That's funnysci-fi.com. You can also support us on Patreon, where you can get transcripts, bonus episodes, and other fun merch. That's at patreon.com/funnysci-fi. Look for links in the podcast description.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of Funny Science Fiction, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on one of our future episodes, please contact us by means of our Facebook group, Funny Science Fiction. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram using the handle @funnysci-fi, or you can go to draytonallen.com and click the Contact Me link at the bottom of the page. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the episode.